listen to that wind. This is the storm that's coming over. It's nighttime, the rain's definitely here to stay. Ah, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand. So the wind's picked up even more as I'm getting away from land, and I ended up actually just striking my mainsail completely. Just shortened sail again. Now I just have up my storm jib. Definitely different with seas being on the beam or forward of the beam. I had one wave break into the cockpit, and unfortunately the cockpit still doesn't drain as well as I'd like it to. This has been a really exhausting passage so far. It's just been a series of really nasty squalls that have been hitting without really much time in between. And so I just came and laid on the floor here in my full fallies with my harness and everything and fell asleep. Woke up, there's another squall on the horizon. And it's raining again. I was part of the way through building the bracket for my outboard, but I can't use my tools outside in the rain, or I don't want to. I just don't know when it's gonna not be raining. This really sucks. The rain is here to stay for the next couple days, so I'm trying not to bum out, but I am bumming out because it was one of those things where I've been sort of stressed and feeling like I have too much to do and not enough time for the past month. And finally getting here, I felt like I was on top of things and ahead of things, and that if I accomplished this today, then I was going to be really chill about the next couple days. So one thing I want to do is get out my storm jib, and I just want to check the hanks because I haven't used it in ages, and I want to make sure that they're all nicely freed up so that if I need to use it, I can. And I might do some video edits later today. I mean, I know everyone's been saying this is the worst weather that New Zealand has seen in decades, but it really sucks to live through because it's just rain, 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 and it makes it so hard to do all of these projects. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's hard when it rains every day, and I've had 5 glorious days of sun, and I feel very lucky for that, but that's 5 days of sun in a month, and I'm trying really hard to get my boat ready for a big crossing, and I'm just, yeah, a little frustrated today, I will say. Alright, I'm getting everything ready for my passage. I'm clearing out in about 2 hours now, so I've got the deck ready, lashed the dinghy down. Now I'm just getting the cabin ready down below. I've made my cozy bed. It's gonna be really cold the first couple days out at sea, so I have this blanket, this one doubled up, this one, and this one. And then the lee cloth partially up. And then all my other pillows and blankets. I've laid out what I'm gonna wear when I leave, so I have this silk long underwear shirt, and then this is wool, so that's for my top layers, and then these are my fleece lined leggings, and then I have my down jacket, my fall weather gear, and I'm gonna grab out my hat, and I have this neck gaiter, so that's gonna go in the pile. Also my sea boots. Unfortunately, I don't really have great thick socks, but we'll just have to double up. How's it going there? Dinghy engine is here, oars are away. Let's see what I have for socks. Maybe these have holes in them, but they're kind of woolly. And then maybe these on top of them, so that'll be the socks. I've also laid out the rest of my warm clothes here in the V-berth just so I have easy access to them. To be honest, I'm probably not gonna change for the first 2 days. I'm just gonna let myself get really disgusting in the clothes that I have because it's gonna be really rough, shitty weather, and I just don't think I'm gonna care. But then I'll wanna change. I'm all cleared out of New Zealand and using a different shade of zinc, and it does not match my skin tone. And getting ready to head out for Vanuatu. Very exciting. I'm just gonna leave the marina and then start sailing. Okay, getting my layers on. What I do underway is that everything that is gonna be in the way goes into the V-berth, because I don't sleep in the V-berth, I sleep in the main cabin. So I have Basically, I like to clear out the quarter berths so that it's just the sails that I'll need so I can easily access them. I'm bringing Olivia a Starling. She ordered it to New Zealand and I'm bringing it to her. It's too big to fit in any of my lockers, so it's just here in the V-berth really nicely nestled in with all the soft stuff. And then I like to keep a clear path forward to the hatch just so I can check the dogs because they sometimes like to come loose underway, and so I can use the bilge pump to empty out the anchor chain locker. Kettle is on the boil. I'm going to make a nice thermos of green tea for in the cockpit, and that's pretty much everything. I think I'm ready to go. I've never been this nervous for a passage before. It's going to be a really shitty 24 hours. It's going to be a 4-meter swell, blowing 30, gusting 40. But I have to leave to get out because there's another system coming through in 4 days that's bringing really strong northerlies. I'd rather have bigger weather from behind than slightly less big weather from the nose, because then I'll be close hauled tacking into it. So it's sort of, it's just gonna be a sufferfest for the first 24 hours, and then everything should smooth out. I probably am gonna make really good time the first couple days, which is awesome, because basically there's this 500-mile mark north of Opua that once you get past that, you're usually in the clear for the worst of the weather. So I'm hoping it only takes me 4 days to get to that point. I'm gonna be going slightly northeast because the wind sort of shifts around in a couple days and starts to come from the northeast, and then I can turn off, hopefully be close hauled and still be making my tack angle. My bail point is New Caledonia if I have to, if I can't make the tack to Vanuatu, or if some nasty weather comes in. So that's the plan. I'm officially off, sailing underway, the engine is off. Next stop, Vanuatu. I have a triple reefed main and my working jib in anticipation of the nasty weather out there. And I've also rigged up the whisker pole because once I get a little offshore, the wind is going to be between the quarter and dead behind. And in big seas, it's pretty much impossible for me to set this thing up by myself safely. The boat rolls way too much. It becomes way too much of a hazard. So I thought I would set it now so that when I want to use it, all I need to do is just raise it up and it'll be there. Hi, this is Editing Holly. I am going to be posting a full video detailing the performance of my new Rolly Tasker sail on this passage, so I'm not going to go into it in full detail right now, but keep an eye out for that. I am going to wait until the end of the passage to post that video. It really changed my passage for the better, and I'm very excited to share that with you guys. I'm almost out of the Bay of Islands now. It's wild to think that when I arrived here 6 months ago, I had a shredding main, a broken wind vane, and a broken engine. And now I'm leaving with all of those things new or repaired. The past 2 months have been very challenging for me. Working on your boat every day and not sailing, it kind of makes you question why you're living on a boat, because it's all the hard stuff and none of the fun stuff. But it's all finally coming together. Ooh, gosh, there's another squall behind me. Just had my second squall in 2 hours. Pretty classic New Zealand. We have some blue sky here. We have some squall action here and some blue sky. It passed over pretty quickly. So I'm already sporting my new at sea look, which is this. This is like a lightweight hiking jacket that's mostly waterproof in a drizzle, but if it really downpours, then I have this yellow one. So the last squall was a pretty strong guy, so I put this one on over, and then my plastic pants with my boots. And this is the ensemble, probably what I'll be mostly living in for the next 3 or 4 days. It's a little rolly, but obviously nothing compared to the 4.5 meter seas that are outside and waiting for me. Actually, they'll be down to 4.5 meters by the time I get out there. Really not looking forward to that at all. But there you go. Friends of mine texted that they were on the west coast of the South Island and the waves there are crashing against the cliffs and shooting 30 feet into the air, and I was like, don't tell me that, I don't want to know. So the wind's picked up even more as I'm getting away from land, and I ended up actually just striking my mainsail completely because I was starting to get overpowered. There's a couple ways that I know instantly that I'm overpowered. The first and most obvious is, well, actually I don't know what the first one is. They kind of happen at the same time. One, I get kind of uneasy and uncomfortable, and also my wind vane isn't able to cope with gusts. It will round up. So as soon as that starts to happen, I know I'm overpowered. I already had a triple reefed main. I kind of expected that this was gonna happen because it's blowing pretty hard. 30s is a lot for a 27-foot boat to be in if you're not a racy boat and you want to be overpowered and going really fast. But for us cruisers who just want to be nice and gentle on our rigs and take care of our boats, take care of ourselves, make it a nice safe passage, when it's blowing in the 30s, it's a bit much. So I just have the head sail up. I have it pulled out. The main is safely sail tied down and waiting for its reappearance maybe day after tomorrow. And everything just feels so much better. The wind vane is holding me on course. I don't have that nervous feeling in the pit of my stomach anymore. The waves are picking up. There's some breaking ones, but all in all, it's not as bad out the gate as I thought it would be. The sun is out, it's not raining, and I think since I'm riding the back of this low, it means that I should have sun for the next couple days. Hopefully, it's just really the name of the game is go north, go north. So if the wind does continue to increase and I get overpowered again, I have two more head sails. Two more head sails. Ha ha ha. Oh my god, I think I'm just so relieved. I've been pretty nervous for this passage for the past couple days because I know I'm going out into snotty weather, and it's just a sense of relief to actually be out in it and not thinking about it anymore, but doing it. What was I saying? Oh yes, okay, I have two other head sails to change down to. One, I call it my storm jib, but I think it's a little bigger than a storm jib should be, but it's definitely smaller than the working jib. And then I went through all my storm sails before I left on this passage because I knew it was going to be bad weather. I have my stay sail, which theoretically, I mean not theoretically, which should be put on the main. That instead of rigging it up as a stay sail, I'll just rig it up as a super tiny, ridiculous little, basically not a sail, piece of handkerchief jib if shit really hits the fan. Hopefully don't ever have to use that bad boy because that means serious, but it's there, it's ready to go. But really, wow, do you hear it? Whistling through the rig. This is why I actually have headphones in and I've been listening to music because I don't want to hear those noises because they make me feel like I'm in a lot of wind, which I am, but I don't need to be constantly reminded of that fact. I've also rigged up two harnesses. One is the long one that I use to get up to the front of the boat for changing sails, and one is a short one that just reaches within the cockpit and it gets to the companionway, so if I need to go below to take it off, I can. And that's just for this really nasty weather. I'm staying clipped in the whole time, and it does make me feel really good to know. It's like having a seatbelt on in the car. I just feel like everything is okay. So the longer of the two tethers belonged to my dad when he was circumnavigating, and the shorter one belonged to my mom. And then this harness was my dad's, my grandfather's. I come from a family of seafarers and it's really nice to feel loved by all the gear. I have had people tell me before, oh my god, your grandfather's harness, isn't all the stitching rotten? And I've checked it and it's all fine. I think this must have been one that he probably bought right before he stopped sailing, and then that's why it's still kicking around. So it's good, don't worry. And the same with the harness lines that were my parents'. They're also very fine lines. The wind is somehow down a bit, which I'm not trusting. But it's really nice for the time being. The sun is starting to get low. It's gonna be my first night out. I'm starting to get the feeling that I'm at sea. I'm starting to get that just letting go, relaxing. I just went down below, and the bunk that I've made up for myself, which is the one on the leeward side of the boat, is the one that Tiga had for the whole passage down to New Zealand. And I know I keep saying this, but it's what I'm thinking about. I miss her. It's so sad. I always miss people a lot my first day or two out at sea. Especially, there's something for me around the first sunset is always when I get my most nostalgic. I miss people the most. All these just kind of bittersweet, homesicky memories about the people I love, and right now it's about Tiga, so she's definitely on my mind. Yeah, it's hard not having her around right now, but I know that she's having fun wherever she is, working in a kayak. Just shortened sail again. Now I just have up my storm jib, and it feels a lot better. I was going a little too fast before, but now it's really whistly in the rigging. It really feels like there's a lot of wind, which there is. Morning one. I actually slept really well last night. I got up in the middle of the night to put on the storm jib because there was a big sort of squally system that was over me and I was really overpowered. That helped a lot. Now I just have that guy up still because as the squalls pass over, I even get a bit overpowered with that, but not in a bad way. And I just went out to adjust the course. And now I'm gonna lay in bed and drink some more tea. 4.5 meter swell, pretty swelly. But yeah, this is kind of exactly the weather I had for a couple days on the way to Fiji, so it's nice to put some numbers to it. That what I was experiencing was also 4.5 meter swell, because comparing, it's pretty similar with a similar amount of wind. So yeah. But this time I have the head sail pulled out because I preset it before I left. Would not be able to have set the pole once I was out here. And the boat is just sailing so much better. Like, I knew it would. But sometimes you can't get everything you want. I just put up the big head sail. All the sail changes have happened at night so far. In the middle of the night I switched the whisker pole from the starboard side over to the port side because the wind is swinging around. Now it's coming more from south, a little bit of west in it, and I'm trying to head northeast still. The wind is shifting a lot, so now I'm on a beam reach of a starboard tack, whereas last night I had the wind on the quarter on a port tack. So this is kind of all happening today. The wind shouldn't get any stronger than this. Right now I have full sail out and I'm pretty powered up, but shouldn't get any more, so I'm gonna leave up the big head sail. The only thing now is that I do need to keep an eye on the squalls because they will overpower me, and I'll have to play with the head sail taking up and down if that's the case. So I'm gonna have to start being a lot more vigilant. I've been sort of chill the last 2 days, which has been really nice. Gotten a lot of sleep, sort of mellowed into the passage, but now I'm back to the old, a lot of sail up and being careful for squalls situation. Editing Holly again. As I'm watching through this, I was looking at myself and I was like, how can I be less chill when it's blowing 15 than I was when it was blowing 40? And the truth is that I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but I was really tired when I was saying that. No, I think it's because it was sort of 15 to 20, and that's a really hard wind speed for me. There's a huge difference between my big head sail and my working jib, and in the 15 to 20 range, I'm kind of in between those two sails. So if I have the big one up, every squall and gust will overpower me. But if I have the small one up, I'll be pretty much always underpowered. And so when I'm sitting in that area, I am kind of uncomfortable because I know that I have to react quickly to things that happen with the wind. And I think that's where I was coming from when I said that, because, yeah, I don't know. It's evening of my second full day out at sea. I have the double reefed main and full head sail going along at a pretty nice clip, making really good speed. I must say this new mainsail is just a dream to reef. It's definitely getting warmer, but it's not warm, hence why I'm in the Dodger. In the middle of the day it's nice. I spent most of the day outside today. Partially that was because the wind is just, it really started changing. Last night I had to tack the whisker pole, change the head sail, and then in the early morning I reefed the main down and was just kind of tweaking the course for a couple hours as the wind figured out where it wanted to be. But once it sort of got its groove, I think I was in the cockpit from 5:30 in the morning to about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then I went below because I needed a break from being a sailor. I think I sunburned only my neck today. Weird. Something that I want to talk about, which I haven't talked about before, and it's one of the only hippy dippy things that I do, probably. So at sea, smell becomes a whole different experience because there's nothing externally to smell that's different. Like the ocean pretty much always smells the same. On land we're constantly inundated by so many different scents. At sea it's only the smells that basically are on my boat. So when I make food, when I make tea, when I clean myself, I can smell the soap lingering on my skin. Something I do every evening is I take a little baby wipe shower, and then I choose an essential oil or essential oil combination, and I find that this is very grounding for me. And I have a couple different combinations. I have a lavender and vanilla combo, a juniper and frankincense combo, and then a rose oil. I just love to use scents as another way to make my environment a little bit more dynamic when I'm at sea. In a way, you're deprived of a lot of your senses. Definitely smell. As far as sight goes, you know, I will be the first one to say that the ocean looks different every single hour of every single day. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of blue waves and blue sky and the same boat that you look at and the same sails that you look at every single day. And feeling, I think, and hearing are really heightened. Like my ears are always way tuned in to the slightest sounds, knockings, vibrations happening on my boat. And then of course the beauty of sailing in warm places, which I'm so excited to get back to, is just being outside without clothes between the air and my skin and feeling the air rushing over my body. It just feels really amazing. And as far as taste goes, on my boat without a fridge, the provisions get pretty boring after the first 5 or 6 days, so that's also a little bit deprived there. So exploring the senses in these fun ways becomes almost like an activity or a ritual that I like to do. When I'm not sailing, I don't really think about scent at all. I put on deodorant when I remember to, and that's pretty much it. It's only when I'm at sea that I play around with different smells. It's 2 in the morning. I've been up since 11. There's just been a series of really nasty squalls that have been hitting without really much time in between. I put a double reef in the main, and I was lying in the cockpit when it started to rain, so I just came and laid on the floor here in my full fallies with my harness and everything, and fell asleep. Woke up, there's another squall on the horizon, so I think I'm gonna leave the head sail down, leave the double reefed main up. I could put the head sail up for probably another half hour, squeeze some more miles out, bro, but I'd rather just sleep, so that's what I'm gonna do. So tired. So tired. Day 3, it was squally all night long. I have the third reef in the main and the storm jib up again. The wind is just a little forward of the beam. It's kind of been creeping forward all morning. Definitely different with seas being on the beam or forward of the beam. I had one wave break into the cockpit, and unfortunately the cockpit still doesn't drain as well as I'd like it to. It took a long time for just a small amount of water to go out, which makes me kind of terrified of a giant wave breaking in because I don't think it would drain very well at all. I keep hoping that the squalls are gonna end, but they're really not, so I'm staying powered down because it means I don't have to do a bunch of sail changes in the middle of squalls, and the wind is still pretty high anyway. That's pretty much it. Not much else going on here, just, you know, big deal ocean passaging. This is pretty tired. Not getting a lot of sleep. It's really rough, it's really windy. I've never used my storm jib this much. It's been in the 30s for the past 12 hours at least, and it's just big seas, waves breaking over the boat, squall, squall, squall. I'm lying in bed reading books and just chilling and trying to keep the boat on the right course, trying to keep track of all these squalls and make sure nothing bad is happening. But it's getting warmer, so that's cool. I'm kind of excited for it to eventually calm down so I can spend some time outside and enjoy this passage a bit more than enduring, but I am making good miles, so that's good. The sun set a couple hours ago. Oh, I feel like a hospital patient. I'm so cold. This has been a really exhausting passage so far. It's been really big weather, big seas, big wind, and I feel like my whole perspective on this passage has been really different than on other ones. Normally on a passage it sort of becomes my whole world, but on this one I'm seeing it more as just what I'm doing right now, and it sounds like not a big difference maybe in words, but it feels totally different. Like, I know that this is a journey that's challenging and I'm really tired and it's hard, but it's something that will be in the past pretty soon, whereas normally I'm really existing in the moment to such an extent that it feels like my whole life has been miserable and cold and tired. It's something that I've been sort of learning. You know, as a society we talk so much about living in the moment and how important that is, and I totally agree, that is a very important thing. But something that happened to me when I started living on my boat was that I lived in the moment to such an extent that during the hard times and the bad times and the times like now when I'm exhausted and all I want is a good night of sleep, but there's so many squalls that are huge and wet, then in these moments it feels like this is all I've ever been doing, and I've started being able to put it into perspective. Living in the moment is important with perspective. Like, in the good times I always remind myself of how good it actually is. Like, okay, this is my tired boat brain, so it's gonna take me a second to be able to explain this properly, but I'm gonna get there. When I was in Polynesia for 2 years, it's a paradise there. It's beautiful. People dream of going somewhere like that their whole lives. And I started taking it for granted, and sometimes I would have these moments where I would remind myself where I was and how lucky I was to be there, like looking at the beach from my boat under a full moon with the palm trees and the white sand just picking up the glow of the moon. And I would think, wow, I'm here, and, you know, swimming in that crystal clear water. And I tried to keep the perspective to go along with living in the moment for the good times, that I could truly appreciate them, but something that I haven't really consciously thought about as much is it goes the same for the hard times. Like, it's important to keep it into perspective that this is just a piece of the journey, is sometimes that you have these hard passages. Once you get out of the trades, they're not straightforward anymore, and it's not warm all the time, and the squalls are big, the seas are big. You know, they've been breaking over my boat all day long. Tried to remind myself that, you know, the hard times are there, but they're not everything, just like the good times. So I guess this passage, even though it's hard, it doesn't feel all consuming. It just feels like a challenging moment in time, but just that, just a moment. I was just looking at the port light. There's a half moon right now. I can't see it at the port light, but I can see it on the water, and then Venus is so bright. and my shroud silhouetted against the rolling sea, and there's something so cozy to be inside and to be looking out the little window and seeing that, making me realize how lucky I am. Yeah, I was just reading a book about someone living in a house, and I was thinking, oh, it'd be nice to live in a house and to be able to go to bed at the end of the day and to actually know you're gonna sleep through the night. But then I thought of all the other things that it involves and realized that I don't want any of that. So, yeah, okay. Rambly brain. Thank you guys for watching this week's video. This one was a really fun one to edit. I kind of forgot how many moments I had with the camera, and often I edit those ones out because I feel like what everyone wants to see is the action and the drama and the sailing and the waves, and no one cares about the things that I think about when I'm at sea. But I realize that that's a huge part of being at sea, is that you're alone with your thoughts, and I wanted to start sharing some of the things I think about. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you guys enjoyed, because I can start filming more of that stuff that runs through my little head when I'm just in it, you know, the good thoughts and the bad thoughts. This passage was very challenging and continued to be challenging for the entire passage. Basically never got sun, never got really nice weather, and just sort of endured for 12 days. So I'm really excited to put out part 2 for you guys. Stay tuned for that in 2 weeks. And let's see. Thank you guys for all of your comments. I love reading them. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me and making this trip possible. Really couldn't do it without you. You guys are like basically most of the income that I have comes from you, so that I can continue sailing and continue making these videos and putting them online for you guys. If you'd like to become a patron, my Patreon is patreon.com/windhippie. For one-time donations, I have a PayPal, paypal.me/windhippie. Appreciate all of that stuff that you guys do for me and give to me, and all the love. And I have merchandise. There's a link below if you want to see my shop and see all the cool stuff I have. Oh, wait, I'm wearing a Wind Hippie t-shirt as we speak. I bought a giant tie-dye shirt that I just like to wear because it's super baggy and makes me feel like I'm in disguise. Thank you, Tish. She helps me get these videos scheduled on YouTube, and I like to edit a bunch at once and then kind of upload them all to Dropbox, and then she puts them onto YouTube for me and reminds me when I need to do videos and stuff. She's like my manager. And I think that's everything. Patrons, I'll see you next week with a snack, and YouTube people, I'll see you in 2 weeks with the next part of this passage.